Hey everyone, welcome back to the Retire While You Work podcast. I'm Miles Zuger, joined by Carson Odom and Jerry and AG here on the team. Going to be talking this week about spending money to save your sanity. I think this is something, if you ask my wife, probably that I struggle with a lot. It's just the spending money on the little things that in the end free up way more of your time and make it worth it. And before we got on, Jerry Ann was saying her husband, not to call Josh out here, but Josh can struggle with this as well. Carson, anybody in your family that struggles with this?
I think I'm more likely to spend money to save my sanity. Well, maybe it's more of I go back and forth mentally. It's because I'm happy to spend money to save my sanity on things where it's logical to do that, but also in my mind I battle with I'm capable of this. I can do it. But then I'm at the time in my life where it's busy between work and being a father to two young girls. So then I have to balance out what do I want to spend my time doing? Do I want to spend my entire Saturday redoing my landscaping, or should I do that, but then have my kids involved with it and incorporate them, but also they're not going to work in the yard for 8, 10 hours? Or do I just pay somebody and then we can go and use our time, our entire Saturday to go do something as a family and not have anything to do with landscaping, for example. So it's just a everlasting struggle.
And I think one of the biggest ones for that comes to mind is like cleaning, like hiring a
Oh,
cleaning person
absolutely.
versus just doing it yourself. I mean, I don't really like mind cleaning. I kind of enjoy it, like throwing a podcast in and fumbling around the house for a couple hours and cleaning. But then it does stress me out, and I'm like, well, we got to do this weekend or go there, and then I'm like trying to fit that into my schedule. When really, had I just paid somebody, I'd have that sanity back. And yeah,
Yeah, I will always do that. That's a big one for me. I cannot spend my weekends after I've been working all week, I cannot spend my nights or weekends cleaning bathrooms and floors, and I don't know, call me spoiled. It just makes me happy.
I think one of life's luxuries, or something that is a benefit of being financially, not necessarily financially free, but having the luxury of being able to buy back your time. And part of that is cleaning your house, for example. Some people may have a certain opinion on it, but I think it's Miles, if and when you have kids, maybe there's a time when it's like, okay, I can't spend 2 or 3 hours of my limited time now scrubbing my house every single weekend. I could set aside X amount of dollars, and that's that much more time that I have with my family that I don't have to spend cleaning. Now, there's a balance to it because there's
I think
there's
part of it too is like how you were raised a little bit. So like, we
yeah,
never had a cleaning lady growing up.
same.
My mom just like always cleaned the house, so it was like,
Hey, we didn't either. We didn't.
yeah. So it feels weird. Like I just wasn't. I think it's like had I been raised with a cleaning person, like I called I called her a lady. It can be a man also, but like a cleaning person, I think I'd be more apt to like want to go get one. We just didn't have one growing up, so I'm like, oh, this is just like it's how I was raised. It's like how you do it. It's it's you just do it.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point, you do, because it's like, where is 'cause I didn't have one either. I know this is a luxury. I know I can clean my house. I just prefer not to waste that time that I could be doing other things doing that. But what kind of message am I sending my children too? It's like when they get out of college or whatever, are they gonna immediately think, "Oh, well, I need to get a cleaning person," or whatever? So hopefully not, but they've always had one. So there is a difference there.
Kind of going on the path of like spending time or like buying your time back essentially. Like you're spending money to give you time to spend with the kids or do a hobby, do other chores you maybe like do want to do yourself. And spending that money to get that time back. And like what's the balance and how do you decide? And I don't know if there's a right answer. I think the answer to that's probably different for everybody, but how do you decide when that time is?
That and I mean, just to go on kind of the question that you're asking is, in the realm of frugality, I think it that affects our decision making on whether or not how aggressively we buy back our time. Like, for example, I didn't have a cleaning person growing up. and I was in a pretty frugal household. From you always, turn up the air or turn down the heat before whenever you leave in the house. It's always turn the lights off. Whenever you're leaving a room, wasted kilowatts is what my dad used to say. And from recycling, I mean, we tried to didn't want to waste trash bags, so we would stuff everything we could and only go through one trash bag a week, and then recycle everything that we could. So I mean, just a bunch of little things that I recall growing up, just in the frugal mindset, and checking all the price per ounces whenever we're at the grocery store. And who cares about the name brand? It's just what's the cheapest price per ounce for the food that we can buy. So that's ingrained in me, and I think there's a balance of, yes, being frugal is being not just frivolously spending your money and buying more expensive things for the sake of buying more expensive things, and that goes hand in hand still with whether or not you want to do it yourself. There's a balance to it, and there's not a right or a wrong. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, and it's all just how you were raised.
Yeah. Do y'all feel like I mean, one thing that comes to mind besides like cleaning and yard work, which my husband, the only thing he's given up with that is he will let me pay for someone to come and put mulch down. He's like, I'm done lugging those like 40-pound bags around, but he still likes, he says he still likes to do the lawn. So we'll see. Yeah, he mows, he does the edging, weeding, all that stuff. Um, but anyway, what I was getting at is something that's kind of off that topic is having someone do your taxes. Do you feel like that's like a luxury spend? Because that can make you pretty crazy trying to figure all that out yourself. But some people are like, I just don't want to spend a 500 to set to $1,000 on having someone do my taxes. But that's a little different.
I think it, yeah, I think that's dependent on just, I think, how complicated things are for you. And Carson being the CPA, I'll let him answer too. But I think it's like, if all you have is maybe some W-2 income and like some investment accounts and some bank accounts. I mean, my opinion is that, I mean, granted, we can't give tax advice, but my opinion on that is that like that's pretty easy to do in a service yourself. But I think if it starts to get more complicated, where you have maybe like some K1s or some partnership stuff going on, or you own like some rental properties, I think just to make sure all that's on the up and up, it's worth the peace of mind. And then having somebody on your,
It's not really your time, it's my
yeah,
peace of mind that it's
yep,
given me.
yep. And I think
Yeah.
that's a big one. Just having a CPA or a tax attorney on your side. Should you miss something, should they miss something, that can kind of go to bat for you to make sure that it's on the up and up.
Mhm.
I agree with all that. I think, like, for example, for myself, I still file my own tax return just because
Well,
there's
you
not
are
too
a
much going
CPA
on
too,
here.
though.
I am a CPA, so I do have some experience filing some tax returns. However, there's a couple things. One, there's going to be a point where I don't file my tax return anymore, and I'm happy to pay a practicing CPA to file my taxes, because I don't study the depths of taxes year in and year out. I just don't. So I can't stay fresh um, on
Like tax
all the
laws changing
new
every year
tax
and
reform,
stuff.
tax law
Yeah.
changes. Yes, of course, I can't stay at the top of all of that. Plus, there's a time thing. For the most part, I think I spend like a couple hours prepping my taxes each year, and the online websites that most people use to prep their taxes, they can be good for basic situations, but you add any layer of complexity, you're relying on a system to ask you the right questions and guide you through. When at the end of the day, that's where you can't replace a human being. Just like all the AI talk, yes, we put a lot of faith in the AI systems that are out there, but at the end of the day, there are certain industries where you're never going to replace the human touch and the human element of it. Same with, I mean, I hate that it's this complicated, but with filing a tax return, you've got to have a human that can know your personal tax situation, answer questions, and you're also covering yourself by, if something happens, you get audited, you've got a professional accountant who filed that tax return on your behalf, who can represent you to help you defend yourself or defend the items against the IRS. So I think it's a very big peace of mind to eventually get to a point of paying for it. But for most people, if you do have a very simple tax return W-2, the online websites are probably easy enough and you don't have too much to worry about.
I remember when I started using an accountant years ago, I was doing our taxes, and they started getting a little bit more complicated, and I was like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this again. And so I went to an accountant, and he said, send me your last 3 years tax returns. And he like went through them and found like $7,000 that I got back because I didn't know what I was doing, you know?
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else? A couple of ones that come to mind are like meal prepping. I mean, there's
Oh, that's a good one.
so many services out there right now where you can either order frozen meals that are shipped to your house, or I mean, even like fresh meals that are shipped to your house. That's one that comes to mind. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
grocery shopping, I think, is
I
another one.
mean, one thing that I know we were going to talk about a little bit are what are some of these things that kind of kill your budget? And I personally have one, and that is doing all of our grocery shopping online with Instacart. Um, my husband and I went over our budget for the first time together in a long time recently, and I showed him how much we were spending on that, and he was like, "No, I'm going back to the grocery store." He he said, "That's ridiculous," and I do think it was coming out to be about an extra $100 a week.
Slightly, right?
I'm pretty sure they do, and then you tip, and
Yeah,
you're a member and or whatever it is.
yeah,
But yeah, it does add up.
for sure. Um, yeah, I think meal prepping is one of those luxuries because I'd sit here and like this week I meal prepped all my breakfast. So I have like eggs and sausage and different stuff I have, and that's a pretty easy meal prep. I mean, I think we sprint from the moment you got to plan out, order your groceries, then you got to cook everything, then you got to wash the dishes, get it packed away, and that's probably over an hour worth of work. Let's just say on a Sunday afternoon when I'm getting ready for the week. Um, that's just for breakfast. So that is time and energy on a Sunday when I'm in the kitchen cooking and prepping your meals. So then on top of that, you throw lunches, and so that you're not eating out. Me and Miles have a couple of lunches that we go to on a weekly basis, but for the other 3 days, I got to have meals so that I don't eat out. And on top of that, that's probably another hour potentially of prepping food.
I mean, what are you trying to sell me on here? It's not sounding good.
I know, I know. So the easy button is buying food online, like from these meal prep services, whether they're frozen or fresh. You get them delivered on a Sunday, and then you've got some fresh meals for the week. But you look and you're like, okay, maybe it's I'm not sure. Maybe it's X amount of dollars to prep those meals. And then you're like, okay, but if I spent 25 more bucks, I could have 2 hours back and just a box of meals in my refrigerator ready to go. Now, all of a sudden you're weighing, and it makes that decision of, is my time worth 25 bucks on a Sunday for 2 hours back? And that's where you're, in this decision. And what it comes back to is, what's your time worth and how much are you willing to pay in order to get that time back so that you can that Sunday. Now, if you're just going to, rot on the couch and watch TV, then maybe you should keep the discipline up.
Hey, what's wrong with that sometimes?
Nothing wrong with it. But it's all just like, what's all the trade-off. It's all the opportunity cost. What could you have been doing? Could you have,
Yeah.
gone and done X thing with your family, or had some mental peace, rest time, whatever, where you did get to
Take
sit
the
on the
dog
couch
on a
and get ready
walk,
for a
like
week?
lots
Yeah,
of things.
exactly.
And I think you can look at it from a couple different angles. You could look at it from what are some of the cheaper items, cheaper types of tasks that I want to try and outsource, and or like what are more of the time consuming ones that I want to try and outsource to get that time back. And maybe you can get less time for doing the cheaper ones. Like if meal prepping, for example, that's an hour, for spending 25, 50 extra bucks, maybe that can get you that hour back that week. Or maybe you spend more on like the cleaning one where it's a little bit more time, but it's also more expensive. And trying to come up with a budget of like, how much can I fit into my budget to buy my time back? And you don't have to accomplish all these things, but maybe you can accomplish one or two or three of them, which in turn, maybe you put that in your budget. It's a couple, 200-300 extra bucks a month, but you now have 3 to 5 extra hours that you can allocate to do other things that you want to be doing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, meal prepping's big, lawn care's big, cleaning your house, and then I mean, the sky's the limit as far as what you can pay for in order to get your time back. But I feel like those are a bunch of the, and then you could even get down into Well, I was going to say like leasing a car versus buying a car. Some people end up leasing a car because you don't even want to have to think about a car repair and you just want the easy button. It's a new car. It should get you from point A to point B. You never have to worry about anything but tires. Um, as opposed to buying an older car, you're probably going to have to worry about issues getting it in the shop and, maybe doing some repairs yourself. So there's that point as well.
What else? Anything we're missing? And I think, on top of that, then I think the other part is like as technology and AI start to become a bigger thing, like how much can that play a role for? I'm sure some of the at the beginning it's probably going to be very expensive. I know there's like not to get too futuristic, but people talk about like everybody's gonna have a robot,
Yeah,
gonna cook your food, do your laundry, clean your house for you, and you're like, I've heard people talk about how you're gonna be able to like buy them or you're gonna be able to like lease them, and it's like you don't actually own it, you're just kind of renting this thing and you can get rid of it when you want, but it's like what's the cost on that? And now can one thing one thing in your house that's kind of creepy to have a robot walking around, but can that like one thing now do several different tasks?
Right.
Maybe in 5 years
so let me
we're gonna
ask
be.
you, how much would you pay on a monthly basis to have a robot that always did your laundry?
I don't know,
Oh,
that just
always
feels
just the
creepy.
laundry?
Just even laundry, like what's that worth? Just I've got 2 young kids, so I've got so many clothes that always need to be folded,
See,
not to
yeah,
count
you with the kids, that's a lot more.
right, that's right.
When
So
it's just
or
down to 2 of us, I don't know. That's
dishes too, so you've got all your laundry, all your dishes, all your household cleaning. What is that worth to have a robot in your
that's
house?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in like
I don't
five
know
years you're
either.
gonna be driving down the street and there's just gonna be robots out there pushing
Hey, I've
mowers.
seen a lot of sci-fi movies, and those robots that live with you, it never turns out well.
I know.
What's oddly interesting, iRobot with Will Smith, or whenever that came out,
Yeah.
I don't know, like
That's
2000
like
or something.
15, 20 years ago, I
Uh,
bet.
yeah, but it was based in a future time. I think like 2031 is when it was based, and I'm like, it is oddly on pace. I feel like for
Yeah,
when
right.
um, this is gonna end up coming to fruition. Okay, came out in 2004. In 2035, highly
Okay.
intelligent robot.
10 years
So in
from now.
10
So
years from now.
10 years from now, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean,
Can
I can see that in 10
I know.
years.
I know. At least just where the knowledge that AI has already,
Right.
and then implementing that into some sort of robot. Tesla and a few other companies, they have robots. I've seen them running, walking. Heck, we have driverless cars.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
We have
Waymo's
those
coming.
here now too, the Waymos. They're in
They're in
town.
Nashville.
Yeah. I don't know if they're totally. I feel like the one that I saw had somebody in the front seat, and there was like
Okay.
somebody in the car monitoring it as it was probably adjusting to the city. But I don't know. I don't know if they still have that or not. But yeah, they're in town.
So that's even another thing. So you think in the next 5 or 10 years, what's your
Not
time
gonna have a
worth in
car,
your
maybe.
commute to work?
Yeah.
Or it is a car, or maybe it's some sort of mass transit that is more efficient, but maybe it's your own personal vehicle that's autonomous and it can drive you to work. So then all of a sudden now if you've got a 30-minute commute, you've got 30 minutes back that you can do things, somehow work while your car is driving you, or you hop in a
Yeah.
Waymo. So what would that be worth?
I mean, honestly, I think it may come down to, and then we're getting off on a tangent here, but that the cars, you don't even have to own a car, that you just call a car and it just comes and gets you. Like,
Like basically like an Uber or a Lyft
right.
or a Waymo, but it's just
Yeah,
like that's
right.
just your everyday transportation, and there's so many of them.
Mhm.
That's just what you get around in.
Hmm. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
A little off track there at the end, but that
Not
is
bad.
like that's the thing. That's like the balance of what is. It's easy to say what the things are now: cooking, cleaning, chores. Those are the easy things to say. What does this cost me, and how much am I willing to pay to not have to do this to get that time
Mhm.
back? But in the future, as we went down that road, it's like there's going to be technology that's going to do these types of things for you. Even like using some of the AI tools now, like the spreadsheets and things that they can build and the coding that they can do is saving people, I mean, hours and hours and hours of time. And so it's coming. It's just a matter of time and how spot on will Will Smith be.
That's right. We'll see. We'll
So,
see.
awesome. Anything else to add here before we close up?
No. I think we're
all good
we're
for me.
Cool. Yeah, I would just maybe challenge people just to, if you've been thinking about trying to do some of these, just find a way and sit down and say, okay, what does the budget look like and how much room do I have to start outsourcing things, and start from there. And maybe you'll find a way to get yourself back a few hours a week, and that can be pretty valuable. So thanks again for joining us in this week's episode of Retire While You Work, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you next time.
Any opinions are those of myself and not necessarily those of Raymond James. Expressions of opinion are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information contained in these podcasts do not purport to be a complete description of the securities market or developments referred to in this material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Every investor's situation is unique, and you should consider your investment goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon before making any investment. Prior to making an investment decision, please consult with your financial advisor about your individual situation. Any hypothetical examples are for illustration purposes only. Actual investor results will vary. Raymond James does not provide legal or tax services. Please discuss these matters with the appropriate professional.